Africa, Africa, Africa. We love you, we do. Our hearts beat for you. With every step I take, I'll fight for you for God's sake. We love you, we do. Our hearts beat for you. With every step I take, I'll fight for you for God's sake. Africa.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That means in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be unto you. And happy Ramadan to all of the Muslims around the world who are fasting in this blessed holy month. I'm Mr. Yusuf, the mind builder and mentor to children. And I can't overemphasize enough how important it is to talk about our children here in Africa and around the world, African children around the world. Because we have been shortchanged, to a great degree by being enslaved and being colonized by people from Europe. And our children are our greatest natural resources. Africa has many minerals, resources, which are, God-given. These minerals and resources are an inheritance from God. So our children are our greatest natural resources that we have. So this is why I am dedicated to teaching, mentoring, and educating children. This is why I'm here in Africa. I was born and raised in the United States of America, but I have committed my life now, to living in Africa and mentoring young children. Now, I was talking with a woman the other day who has spent 40 years in the UK, in England, and she's back here in Accra now. She's a businesswoman. So anyway, I ran into this lady and we had a conversation. And in this conversation, I discovered that she has a 38-year-old daughter who was born in England, and she's never been to Africa. Now she has moved to the United States. She's living in Miami, Florida. Florida is the state that I'm from. I was born and raised in Florida in the United States. But anyway, I was shocked to learn that her 38-year-old daughter has never been to Africa. She has no desire to come to Africa. She married a white man, an Italian man. They have a little son, I think she said. The little boy was 7 years old. And I'm disheartened, just to think that this little boy, 7-year-old boy, African, he doesn't even know anything about Africa. His mother has no desire to come to Africa. And I'm like, wow, I'm just shocked and dismayed that we African people, in the diaspora, we have children there. We have children birthed and born in the diaspora outside of the African continent. And these children know nothing about Africa and have no desire to come back home. And Africa is home for all of the Africans. Trust me, I've been around the world. And in my journey, in my travels, I have seen that we, the African people, are the most despised and rejected people on the planet Earth. Let me say that again. We, the African people, are the most despised and rejected people on the planet Earth. And the question is why? What do we do? We are the original people. And unfortunately, we don't even understand that, most of us, We don't love and cherish and respect the fact that God has given us this inheritance of this continent with all of these minerals, with all of these resources that everybody in the world needs. This is the only continent that can survive without the other continents, Africa. We have everything we need. We don't need to go to UK. We don't need to go to America. We don't need to go to China, Russia for things. They need to come to us. So our children are not understanding this, and this is why we're having the problems that we're having with our children running from Africa. They're not taught in the schools. Obviously, they're not being taught this. It's not in the school curriculum to have this patriotism toward this continent. Now, I admit I didn't have this type of patriotism that I have for Africa all my life. I didn't know. I was born and raised in America, and we were taught to hate Africa. We were taught to distance ourselves from Africa. We were taught not to want to be a part of Africa. And believe me, never. Why would you want to travel to Africa? Those people? Yeah. So I grew up with that mentality and understanding about Africa. So now, because I'm awake now, and I know the importance of teaching and mentoring our young people, this is what I'm committing my life to. This is why most of my videos, I'm talking about children. Because we're going to have to raise up a generation of children who love Africa, who understand, the hardships and the challenges that this continent faces. We have to raise up a generation of children like that. And we're not being very successful at this point. So what I'm saying in the long run is that we have to go to work. We have to get busy. We have to realize and teach our children that we are at war. We are at war for the liberation and the survival of African people. And we don't seem to understand that. Everybody around the earth, they're trying to get nuclear weapons. They're trying to get nuclear weapons, right? Even in South Africa, where the government is predominantly run by black people since 1994, since Mandela was released from prison, became president, so forth and so on. But there are a group of white people there who want to go back to the days of apartheid and colonialism. They wanted to divide up South Africa for this group of white people. And I guarantee you, if this group of white people can build a separate nation in South Africa, these other white people around the world will give them a nuclear weapon. They will have nuclear weapons against us. So we need to wake up as Africans and see what's going on. We need to stop dancing, having sex, and getting drunk, and all of these things, that are trivial, to our cause. We need to wake up and understand that it's very important that we become security conscious, unite this continent, build a strong military, because we have the youngest population on the planet Earth. Average age is 19 years old. So we can build a strong military to defend what? African people. And why should we have a problem with defending African people? White people defend white people. They have created a white supremacist movement. And it's international. Yeah, they have a white supremacist network, and it works for them. So when we talk like this, it's like, oh, you're prejudiced. You don't like white people. But why white people don't feel that way about what they're doing? They have this white supremacist network around the world. They have white privilege. They can go anywhere in the world and get respect. I was at the Dr. Nkrumah Independence Day Museum the other day in Accra, Ghana, and there was nothing but black people. I mean, an ocean of African people, right? Dark skin, pretty people, nappy, kinky hair. I love it. I love being in this environment. I love being around my people. And there was one white man there at Independence Square, crowded with nothing but African people. One white man. And he felt so comfortable, and he felt so safe, and you can tell by his body language, he was not disturbed by all of these black people being around him. Now, should he be disturbed? No. I mean, why should we harm him? But the fact, knowing the history of these people, what they have come to Africa and done to us, kidnapped my ancestors, took them to America and enslaved them for 400 years, came to Africa, colonized this continent, carved it up for Europe, for England, for Germany, for Spain, for Portugal, for Belgium, carved up this continent for them to extract the natural resources and take them back to Europe, refine them, and sell it back to us, as Africans. So we have to understand what's going on here. And we're so busy dancing and singing and having a good time. And the world is developing all around us. And we, the Africans, we're being left out because we're not taking care of business. Running away to Europe is not the solution. Running to America, to Canada, is not the solution. Every day I'm approached by someone when they find out that I'm an American. Oh, how can you help me to go to America? Oh, I want to go to that place. I want to see that country. Yeah, but you're looking at a picture from the outside. You don't know the internal problems of America like I know. They don't promote that to you. All you see is the glitter and the glamour And you are so impressed by that. And you're ready to leave your God-given inheritance. This continent is an inheritance to us, to African people. There's no place on earth that has the natural mineral resources that we have here on this continent. And every day I just don't understand why the school system and the government don't make it their business to ingrain and indoctrinate this into the minds of these children. Because if these children, if they grew up knowing, like I know, that we are the original people on the planet Earth. We are the first people. Adam and Eve, they were Africans. They were black people. And there's nothing wrong with being black and having kinky hair and nappy hair and a big nose and dark skin. There's nothing wrong with that. But we have fallen victim to the indoctrination of white people using their standard of beauty as the standard of beauty. In other words, if you don't look like them, then you must be ugly. I was talking to my landlord the other day, my landlord where I live, where me and my family live. I was talking to her, and we were having a conversation similar to this. I was trying to educate her and enlighten her about certain things in Africa that I've noticed since I've been here. And in the conversation, when I told her we're the original people on the planet Earth, she said, and with a smile, but we look like monkeys, meaning African people. We look like monkeys, again, because she's using a standard of beauty that white people have indoctrinated her with. And that's a problem. That's a problem with our people. This is what forces us to want to lighten our skin and straighten our hair. There's nothing wrong with having kinky hair. Now, I know it's difficult when you have bushy hair, because I used to have an afro, big afro back in the 70s, and we have to get this Afro Sheen hairspray to make our hair manageable so we can comb it. Okay, so that's just one of the things about being an African. That doesn't mean that because your hair is nappy and kinky like that, you shouldn't want it. You shouldn't want to style your hair in a natural hairstyle because your hair is not straight. Our hair is not straight for a reason. It's not straight like other people's hair, straight because we are the original people. So God made us like this, as the original people. Our hair was kinky, our skin was dark, our eyes were brown, because we are the original. All of these other ethnic groups that you see on the planet Earth, they are copies of us. When they left Africa, they left looking like us. They left looking like dark skin, kinky hair, brown eyes Africans. They left this continent looking like you see African people today. And the environmental factors where they moved to and the climatic conditions, it changed their features over hundreds of thousands of years. It changed their features. See? So there's nothing wrong with looking like an African. We should be proud that we are the original people. Are we better than anyone else? No, of course not. We're just the original. And we need to learn and understand that, promote that, be proud of that. Stop being ashamed to be an African, to look dark-skinned. I really didn't want to tell this story. I'm about to tell you now, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have a 21-year-old daughter in the United States. 21-year-old daughter, right? When she was 19 years old, she didn't like her nose. She never liked her nose. She always used to tell me, Daddy, I don't like my nose. My nose is too big. My nose looks like yours. Yeah, so my nose looked like my grandfather and his father. We all have this traditional big nose, all right? So she always would look in the mirror and say she didn't like her nose. So, I never really paid much attention to that. I just would tell her, well, you're an African, and this is common features for African people. We have big nose, and there's a reason. God created us with this big nose. He created us for a reason. And as I, learned later on in life, in warm climates like this, you need a larger nose because there's less molecules in a volume of air. So we need a more expansive nose to breathe. So God gave us this for that, biological, scientific purpose. So that's why we have this big nose in Africa, because there's less molecules in a volume of air. So we need a more expansive nose to breathe. Common sense. Okay. But anyway, getting back to this daughter, 19 years old. When I came to Africa in 2021, she was 19. She waited until I come to Africa. She booked her a flight to Turkey. She booked an appointment with a plastic surgeon. Went to Istanbul, Turkey to have plastic surgery. This girl had never went anywhere in her life by herself. She's 19 years old, went to the other side of the world by herself, had plastic surgery on her nose. Yeah, she wanted to look like Michael Jackson. All right. To add insult to injury, 2 years later, her mother calls me last year and said, guess where your daughter is? I said, where, in the United States? She said, no, she's in South Korea. I said, South Korea? What is she doing in South Korea? Oh, she didn't like the nose job she got in Turkey, so she went to see a plastic surgeon in South Korea. I'm going like, what the heck? Well, this girl is not Beyonce. They don't pay. She's not a dancer, an actress, a fashion model, where they pay these people to look like that, to be worried about their nose and their eyes and their hair and all of these things, the texture of their skin. These people get paid millions and millions of dollars. This girl works in a nursing home, you know, and she's worried about her nose. I can't believe it. My daughter, Mr. Pro Africa, Mr. Yusuf, this is my daughter. And this is what this white supremacist network has done to our people. They have invaded our minds. And everything we see it through their eyesight. We see the world through their eyes. And that is a problem because we have been colonized. If you are indigenous African born on this continent, your ancestors were colonized by these white people. My ancestors were enslaved by them. So we have a common enemy and we have a common problem. So we need to come up with a common solution on how we can save, liberate, and survive on this continent, on this planet, moving forward. Because we have a problem. And being here in Africa, I don't hear the young people talking about these things that I'm talking about right now. It doesn't seem to bother them. It doesn't matter to them. You know, they're not even talking about the young military soldiers who have taken over some of these former French colonies like in Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali and Guinea-Conakry. These young men have overthrew these governments and threw the French out, threw the white people out of the country. So we're not dealing with you on your terms anymore. If you deal with us, you deal with us on our terms now. You're not taking our resources, stealing them like you've been doing for centuries. We are becoming masters of ourselves, masters of our own destiny. We're not taking orders from you anymore. That is great. But I don't hear the people here in Ghana talking about that. This is so newsworthy. And you would think that people would be like cheering them on. And this is a conversation piece every day amongst these young people. No, don't hear a word. They're not happy. You know, it doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't catch their attention. And I'm disturbed by this. How can we expect to survive moving forward when we are the most hated people on the planet Earth? What are we doing to ensure our survival? You know? So I talk this way, and I'm so adamant about what I say because I was born and raised in America. I know apartheid. I know Nazism. I know segregation. I know all of these things. Even though I was born and raised in America, I experienced apartheid. I experienced segregation and colonization, even though I was in America. All of these things. So now at my age, I'm 73, and this is why I'm so passionate about the survival of African people, because I've been there, done that. I have seen those horrible things in America. My father being arrested because he had a gun in his back pocket. And he was a police officer himself. But just because he wasn't in uniform and he had a gun in his back pocket, a white police officer arrested my father. And he's a police too. This is what went on in America when I was a child growing up. And I saw these things and it just never left my memory. You know? Now I'm here in Africa. I'm living in Africa. And I understand what has been done to African people. And I'm just dismayed that we don't have the concerns that we should have about what these people, those people, have done to us. And this is not racist talk, because no one has a problem with the Jewish people hating Hitler. No one on the planet Earth says anything when the Jews say, oh, we hate Hitler. They teach their children to hate Hitler. They teach their grandchildren to hate Hitler. They say if there was a street anywhere on earth named after Adolf Hitler, they will go and bomb it. If there was a building built on the planet Earth in his honor, we will go and destroy it. This is the hatred that they have against Adolf Hitler and what he did to them in the Holocaust in World War II, back in the 1940s in Germany. Okay, so when a black man, when an African like me say what I say about what white people have done to us, they call me a racist. They don't understand my pain, but they understand the pain of the Jewish people. And I think this is hypocrisy. I think this is double standards, and it's not right. So why can't I say what I say with the passion that I have and the knowledge that I have about what these people have done to us and continue to do to us? I'm called a racist. That's a double standard. Why can't how can the Jewish people get away with hating Adolf Hitler? That was 70, 80 years ago what happened to them, the Holocaust. And they're still talking about it now. They've killed 40,000 Palestinian people since October the 7th in Palestine, the Jews, because they were attacked. They were attacked by the Hamas, the Palestinians. And they have been killing Palestinians since 1948, since they got their independence. They say that Palestine is the largest prison concentration camp on the planet Earth. These people have been colonized, living up in a system of apartheid. And the world has no problem with that. Why? Because number one, they're Muslim people. You know, that's the number one reason. But secondly, because the United States backs them. You know, the most powerful nation on the planet Earth backs them. This is why they get away with doing what they're doing, committing these atrocities and these horrors in Palestine. So knowing these things, I can't just shut my mouth. I can't be silent. We're taught in Islam that if you see a wrong, they say condemn it with your mouth. Speak out against it. No, I'm sorry. If you can't stop it with your hands, then speak out against it. If you can't speak out against it and stop it, then condemn it in your heart. Hate it in your heart, what's being done. You know, if you see wrong done to another person or another people. These three things. If you can't stop it with your hands, then you speak out against it. And speaking out against it doesn't change it, doesn't fix the problem, then just condemn it in your heart. So our children are our greatest resources, our greatest natural resources. All of the resources that God has blessed this continent with, our children are the most expensive resources, our greatest resources. So you will find most of my videos, I'm talking about children and survival of African people. This is my passion. This is my concern. And I will continue to speak this way until I leave this earth, because it's an emergency. We're at war, and we don't realize that we're at war. The world is against us. I can't answer this question why everybody hates us because we're the original people. Is that a reason to hate someone? You know, what did we do? You know, we were colonized, we were enslaved, we were disrespected. Our resources have been stolen. You know, we've been robbed, we've been kidnapped, we've been murdered, we've been raped, and the world hates us. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. But I don't have time to worry about why they hate us. But what I can try to do is build survival methods for our people. You know, we need to be concerned about survival. We need to be concerned about everybody else wants a nuclear weapon, and we don't have one. There's no African nation on this continent that has a nuclear weapon. And we don't seem to be concerned about getting a nuclear weapon. You know, we're letting the people who did all of these atrocities, committed all these atrocities against us, give us security. I can't sleep good at night knowing that these are the people who are handling my security, not me. No. We need to wake up, dear Africans. We need to come together. You know, we're at war. We need to understand that. We need to start educating our children in an African-centered way. We need to educate our children in an African-centered way with cultural relevance. African-centered education with cultural relevance. They need to know who they are. They need to know their history. They need to learn to be passionate about being African. They need to know that they have to defend Africa from enemies, foreign and domestic. That's our job. We need to do what the Jewish people do. They Every person that reaches the age of 18 in Israel has to go into the military, male or female. When you reach 18 in Israel, you have to go into the military. What do you learn? You learn combat tactics. You learn how to fire weapons, how to clean them, how to load them. You learn all types of technical maneuvers being a military person. I was in the military. So what are we doing as Africans to train our people militarily? You know, I don't even see a gun manufacturer on this continent. I don't think there's a gun manufacturer on the African continent. And if I'm wrong, someone, you know, correct me in the comment section. We don't even have a gun manufacturing company here on this continent. Everybody's got guns. Everybody is security conscious, except we, the Africans, the most hated people on the planet, and we don't have good security. You better wake up. You better wake up. And my videos will be all about our children, their education, and our survival. Thank you for honoring me with your time. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hope to see you soon. Ramadan Mubarak. That means blessed Ramadan. Thank you.